that way. This is another trap that's available. It's from beetlejail.com. The downside to this, it does take up one frame, but it's very effective. The gentleman recommends, Dave Miller recommends putting oil in there, and replace it. It's really a good trap, but the downside is it does take up a frame. Another trap out there for hive beetles is one that the same manufacturer come up with. Is a Beetle Gel Junior. And it snaps onto the side of the frame like this. And the nice thing about this, when you lift that frame up, it comes with you. And it snaps apart so that you can take and recharge it. It's reusable. I think they're around 250. They work very well. But being a cheap beekeeper, I go for the 99 cents. With we discussed earlier, always remember to place the upside down line to the center. And if you notice, there's bobby pins here. When I was growing up, I absolutely hated to pull that wire back and forth. We were using these, and so we would get a wire and have to pull. And it never fails. And my dad was the kind of guy that he wanted a certain tension put on that wire, and we just pluck it. And just as you got to the right sound, that wire would break. You have to start over, all over again. So this is something that I believe Don taught me. Instead of using the push pins that are only an inch long, and that wouldn't even catch the wax. If you'll take your bobby pins, once again, buy your own and use those, and you push them in, and it catches that wax and holds it. Very rigid. It's a great way of doing it, but you want to make sure that you keep it flush. You do not want it sticking out. And if you leave it sticking out, you can damage bees. When you work your bees, I only encourage you to take and always start from one side. The way we do it, we take and scoop everything over to one side, just like that. And the reason for that is you now have a nice opening. See the opening there? You have an opening in which to pull this frame straight out. You're not rolling no bees. You're not rolling the queen. Chances are the queen being on this is really, she probably wouldn't be out here on this end because usually it's either honey or pollen. And one thing I encourage you to do, always hold it over your hive when looking at your bees. Because if you're over here showing somebody and it's a little bit cool and that queen happens to be on the frame, they will cover that queen, kind of ball her in a sense, and will keep her at 92, 93, 94 degrees constantly. Keep her warm. And if you're over there showing somebody and she falls off, your queen's now on the ground and you just stepped on her. and when you start stepping on breeder queens at $250, you learn not to do that. That's some of that stupid talent. And one thing that I've used is a little piece that hooks on the sides of the hive. It makes it really neat. And you can take and place them. This is the only frame that I take out of the hive. It's that one frame. Everything else stays in the hive. So you're reducing the likelihood of killing your queen. So I've got that frame. Now, I have all this room in which to pull the bees, frames up to examine the bees, pull it straight up, look at it, and then when I go to set it back down, I set it inside the hive and up against the wall. Good and tight. The next frame, do the split over. Look how much room I've got there. I'm not going to damage that queen. I bring it up, straight up, look at it, set it back down, but this time I will take and put it in at a slight angle. At this end here, I will gently bump it because there'll be bees on the upright until they move. Once they move, I can now push it against it, and over here at the top, I take and do the same thing, gently bump the bees. You just barely touch them, the girls will move, just be patient, and they move over. So I'm not damaging a queen. A lot of times a queen will run around the side. I've seen this where the guy just took it, left it like that when he went to put his eye together, pushed it like that, and he killed his queen. So you go through your hive, all of them, just keep looking at them, push them over, and keep it all the way across that way, looking at them. And then when you get over to here, the last frame, you don't take this frame and put it over there. You come in there and take your hive tool, positional position, like that. Now you can take and put this in without damaging the queen if she was on it. And the nice thing about your fingers, they make a perfect lineup tool. You just run your fingers right down through here. And you keep everything good and tight against each other. And you don't change the bee space. That way, you don't, if you change that bee space, if it's over 3/8 of an inch, they're going to birth on it. If it's under, they're going to purplize it. So keep it good and tight, and you won't have any trouble with all those problems. One thing about birth comb, these, as a rule, now we're talking about Langstroth, it may be different in other hives, but as a rule, they do not build birth comb crowd. So if you will learn, the secret here is in using 8 frames. It makes it so much easier to use 8 frames. The bees start in the center and work out. When you see them on number 1 and number 8, put you another box on. Always remember that. Number 1, number 8, another box. That way, you give them what they want, when they want it, and there's no need to have birth on it because they have a new foundation to work off of. And the colony will really expand by staying on top of it. If you take in packages, I highly encourage you to feed them. It's not like it used to be when I was a kid. Most of down our way, virtually all the pasture now are monoculture of one type of grass or another. Back when I was a kid, it was full of weeds and different flowering grasses and what have you. So bees had something to work off of. Today, they're limited. So if you feed your bees, the way to do that, and the way we work, is to take 3 or 4 drops of tea tree oil, a couple of drops of 3 or 4 drops of lemongrass oil, 2 or 3 drops, and put it in the blender, a cup of water, turn it on over 4 or 5 minutes, emulsify it, put that into a gallon of sugar water. Right. Bees really don't like sugar. Their little brains are programmed for nectar. Then honey, and if they have nectar and honey available, they're not going to touch your sugar water to speak of. They'll touch some of it in the hive. You've got a high top feeder on them. So by tricking them into thinking it's a nectar, it has a taste. The lemongrass oil brings it down to the pH is very close to nectar. So they'll consume a large amount of it, and they'll draw out your wax using that. And so by doing that, there have been many a person that have been able to make honey the first year by understanding that it takes 8 pounds, 7 to 8 pounds of honey to make 1 pound of wax. So if you will take and throw that mixture in your sugar water, trick them into thinking it's nectar, and the thing about it is, they only allow you to lay there, what good does it do to lay 10,000 eggs if you only have enough nectar for 2,000? So by tricking them into thinking it's a nectar flow, they allow that queen to lay. You won't see them, they'll take and actually push that little girl around, keep her from laying. And so by tricking them into thinking it's a nectar flow, the colony will expand. There's a number of bees that make the honey, and you'll have good success, a good chance of making honey the first year if you follow those steps. Don't let them run out of sugar water. And if it's hot, you don't want to give them sour sugar water. I would not eat sour sugar water. And the bees are just like you. They don't take. So when it turns hot, really, you start noticing that the sugar water is poured out, rinse your feeder out. This is, the bees are through here. They're totally encased in this, won't drown your bees. A lot of products out there will have a split. And of course, some of them have little boards that they walk on. And the bees will, you know, you have a bunch of drowned bees. So by using a feeder that has closed in the spring, we take the wood in, put it toward the front, so that we don't create a chimney effect. First we put it in the back, you're just pulling the air in and out. It doesn't give them a chance for the heat to build up. It gives them a chance to build up. Also with this type of feeder, if you were to drop your hand, your hive there and cut a hole in it, you can have these 2 screws, and the spring comes Sam's or Walmart, and just put the screws back in, you're back in. So it's an easy way to feed your bees. But if it starts getting hot, you notice that sugar water begins to sour, back off, clean your equipment, and put on, say, instead of 3 quarts, put on 2 quarts, watch it go down. Then if they're not pulling it down, back it off to where they pull down. If you're using Boardman feeders, or the entrance feeders, little jars on the front, it's great in the spring, but do not use it in the fall. And the reason for that is, your neighbor may not be feeding his bees. There will be some wild bees. And if there's not a lot of nectar coming in, there will be robbing going on. So if that occurs, pull the jar off, clean it up, and only put on enough sugar water in the evening right before that the bees can pull down overnight. So they'll fly around and won't bother you out. But this is something that's pretty neat. If you have robbing and you notice some of your own bees, a lot of people say stuff grass in the entrance. They'll eventually pull it out. The best way to stop robbing, and it'll take about 10 to 15 minutes, is go out there, take every lid. Now what's happening? These bees that we're doing the robbing are in their own house to make sure they're not going to be robbed. In about 10 to 15 minutes. And what you need to do is determine what caused the robbing. Was it a leaky feeder? Is there a reduction in the amount of bees? Need a new queen? So if it's a situation where the bees come down because of a queen and gold, or she ran out of sperm and the eggs, so you want to go in there and save the bees, but you don't want to take get a new queen because perhaps you can use the paper method, combining the 2 colonies. Just take the frames, paper down, put an empty box, put the frame there, and they will shoot through it. Another way, if you've got a situation where you've got a good queen, but it's late in the year, and it's a situation that she's got to be, there's just not enough bees to make it do it. Yeah. So you can get a double screen board that has openings. Come with 3. And what you can do is go in there and place between your good colony and the one that's weaker. Close off this entrance to the front and here. And only leave one. Take your colony that has a good queen, got a beautiful pattern. It's a late catch of a swarm, but it's just not enough bees to get that temperature. Set that bottom. Keep them closed. You've got the feeder on them. You can feed them. Now, all the heat from the stove will keep them warm. You keep it closed for 3 days, open it, the bees will come in and out of that hive. And as a result, that queen will make it through. Because I've seen some, they just didn't have enough brood in there to get through the winter. And it's a trick to help you get through the winter on a good colony. One of the other things that's out there is and I encourage you to feed from the top. Because in nature, that's exactly what the bees do. They store the honey above in the trees, in the hollow tree, and then work its way down. This is another type of feeder available. It has screen on the bottom, so that you put your hand on top. Entrance, your inner cover. Then you take the place of this, and when you place this, you do not to where you see any screen. You don't want to do this. Because when you put that jar, this is a jar top feeder. The pressure cell changes in the air. Changes the pressure and drip down on your bees and chill your bees. So position it to where it's not over. You now, relation where bees come in, get through the nectar, and go back down. And if you notice, I have this slot to the front. Well, if there was a change in pressure, that hits the board, kind of run out and out of the hive, not down on top of the bees. It's more bees. It's not the coat. Use box to sit on top of it. I don't recommend using the little pint creek jars. Do not use the rings, the penny jar lids. You want a flat lid because that ring is recessed. You put that lid on there, it's even further, mites, natural brood and fall to the ground. You need at least 3 inches below your hive that's open, so mites don't. And this rail system, you're able to go in there, work your bees easily, and a lot of problems of bending over your equipment, turn your lid over. It's important to learn when you take a working bees. You take your lid, and we'll use this as a hive body. You set that lid down. You do not want to take your set it down in there like that, because you can squash bees, and you could be even. So when you pull your box up, you pull it up, look under it, make sure that queen's not hanging on a frame, and then set it at an angle that it'll be something like that. You're not mashing any bee. It's just at the corners that it's touching. And when you're working bees in fall, you take a box off and you set it down, or as you go through it, you take you a towel, really a cotton rag. A towel usually has fluffy fibers and the bees stuck to it. And lay it over top of your hive. Pull it back and pull that one frame out. When you're looking at your colony in the fall, and always keep that over the top of it. Every frame out, have it fit back down, cover it back up. That'll reduce your. And by doing that, you won't have a nasty situation. Robbing is not a pretty thing. One thing we picked up along the years is something my granddad showed. I think Don shows me, is that if you'll take, to really know what's going on in your hive, if you'll take, this is a frame, or if you're running deeps, take a medium frame, and you notice the difference. It's not a whole lot on shallows and medium deeps is real pronounced. To tell what's going on in your hive. If you use this into the hive, and blow out on the bottom will tell you what's going on. If they draw out drones, what does that tell you? That's right, they're in the process of fixing the swarm. If they draw out, everything's fine. No room for expansion. If they honey, you need a honey suit. So it's an easy way to tell what's going on in your hive using little system. You have a situation where you have a swarm, of course, you'll notice an increase in drone production. You'll notice that they have more drone cells drawn out in boxes they'll put between the frame because of the bee space is running. And they'll fill it full of drones. That's one sign. Then you notice that the frames now, instead of having a brood in there, you'll start seeing less brood, and you'll notice they have backfilled full of sugar water. I'm not sugar water, nectar. They backfilled that chamber full of nectar. And why would they do that? The reason why is to do that for two reasons. One, it slims the queen because she has no place to lay. And they will actually move that queen, gently moving her, keeping her from laying. It slams her down, and now she can fly. Secondly, as the colony backfills it with nectar, when off, it leaves the colony with a lot of nectar there that they utilize without having to go in the, because they're very concerned about making sure there's plenty for them getting into to the next year's season. So they backfill it full of nectar. Well, to stop this, we need to remember what they do. They swarm out, they gorge themselves with nectar, honey, and then they are flying out. So if we mimic by taking our box and setting this completely off the hive onto our lid, and taking, set it back on top. We find our queen, and we go back through. Remember about earlier the saying 4, 5, 3, 8? Now we take it. You've got an empty box. We take this now, shut downward. It does two things. It knocks the bee off, gives them that rush, swarming out, and the girls are they're going to suck every bit of it up. So it has a gorging effect, foundation back in. The bees, of course, are going to crawl back on it. And we've got hive, shaking every frame and all that nectar out. And the difference is now, we take and put fresh wax in a swarm. When they leave them, the first things they do after that, and found them together, they immediately started drawing wax. So you give them fresh foundation to start out on, they immediately will start wax. And 90% of the swarm. But in doing check every frame in the card, real bad about hiding them for queen cells. When you those queen cells, you'll have to take your hive and kill them, or cut them out and move them to another nip box to start new queen. But kill every queen cell, shake all the frames off, set them back. As you shake them, set them back in the box, go through everything, and put you back in there, and 90% of the time it will stop swarming. If it doesn't, the reason why is you missed a queen somewhere. So I appreciate it, and we'll turn back over to Adam.
Lunch out the main to the right. If you haven't bought raffle tickets, we're raffling a whole 3 bees, 3-pound package. There's an complete 8-frame hive, books, some beekeeping gloves. You can buy raffle tickets now, and we're drawing. Go enjoy some lunch.